I'm very sorry not to be with you in person today. Civil society in research and innovation is of great interest to me and highly relevant to the priorities of my mandate. I had the great privilege of attending the Italian Presidency Conference on Responsible Research and Innovation in Rome. There, the importance of aligning research and innovation to the values, needs, and expectations of society was the main focus of nearly 1,000 research and innovation stakeholders. This pioneering event led to the adoption of the Rome Declaration on Responsible Research and Innovation. The declaration calls on all stakeholders to work together for inclusive, sustainable solutions to our societal challenges. It supports the need for an integrated approach to science, respectful of social values and the principles on which the EU was founded. What use is innovation if society cannot benefit from its revelations? How powerful are science and technology if they cannot improve lives in line with our hopes, values, and aspirations? The Consider project contributed a great deal to our understanding of these issues. When they surveyed 14,000 FP7 research projects, these led to a valuable policy recommendations that we are very much committed to exploring further. The good news is certainly that citizens and civil society organizations are becoming increasingly involved in research and innovation processes to the benefit of everyone involved. Now, we must work towards quantifying that benefit, standardizing best practices, and better engaging citizens and civil society as a result. My services and I are excited to learn how much further we can go together on this issue. Thank you for your time, your energy, and engagement in building Europe. Enjoy the conference.
So what we did in the Consider project is we did the first, we claim, comprehensive analysis of civil society organizations in research. We did a broad conceptual analysis, and we also did a number of empirical studies, or we had aspects of empirical research in the project. We started out with a big survey of all FP7 projects, which in the end added up to over 17,000. Of those that responded and that included civil society organizations in their projects, we had a second survey, a more detailed survey, which covered 455 projects. And in the end, we did 33 case studies, in-depth case studies, which included a number of interviews, further document analysis, and so on. We also ran 10 workshops. We had a number of outreach and dissemination activities. To take a step into the Consider project. To just give you one example of the things that we've come across that we find to be of interest, and we hope that will be of interest of you. This has to do with the question of the role of CSOs in research. And I've said earlier on what some possible policy goals are. And often when you talk to people who have understanding and experience in CSO involvement in research, there's an assumption that they're there to legitimize research. So they are supposed to give the democratic legitimacy by broadening the input into research, which is perfectly fine and very, I think it's a valid goal. However, we've also found that there are lots of other roles that CSOs can play in research, and notably, they can make a substantial difference to the knowledge production. And that means that including research can have the consequence of not only increasing the legitimacy of findings, but also to improve the quality of the knowledge that comes out at the end. These and many other insights were used in order to, or in the process of developing our recommendations and guidelines. Scientific excellence is the criterion for evaluating the quality of research. What we are suggesting is that there may be different ways of thinking about it, different ways of defining it. Traditionally, scientific excellence has been defined as the outcome of a peer review process. So it's an intra-scientific activity, or it's the outcome of that. We believe that where science and research are explicitly aimed at achieving societal goals, that these goals need to be reflected in the assessment of scientific excellence.
Scientists and researchers are also part of civil society. And while our president in his introduction has put me just in the ivory tower, I will try to do everything to escape this position and go among civil society as I did for my whole life as a researcher. When I was young, I was so keen that I even dared to explain to untrained people untrained in science what Mössbauer effect is, and sometimes I could even succeed in it. In this attempt we are discussing, there is still a little bit also of illusion in it. It has different points why there is a little bit of illusion in it. That often, whether an entertainment, an innovation is important for society or is important for business, is often even not understood among the experts. I will give you examples. Many years ago, within IBM, an employee of the famous company IBM proposed the personal computer, and the CEO of IBM sent him home saying, "This is not a good idea. What should people do with a personal computer?" Yeah, this is IBM. More than 45 years ago, I visited I'm a plasma physicist myself. I visited the plasma physics lab of a famous big German electric company. And there in this plasma physics lab, I saw, not perfectly functioning, but more or less ready, a plasma television screen 45 years ago. And the CEO or the heads of this company decided this will not have a future. So you see, and these were experts. And therefore, I think it is a little bit of illusion that we think, including all civil society, that ever we will have a chance completely to judge what will be the impact or the chance of an innovation. It is the task of democratically elected governments to decide where public money is given. On the other hand, we all want, and our committee is the platform for civil society, we all want to give our opinion to this and to try to influence it. And therefore, our committee, the ESC, where we are sitting here, gives recommendations or advice, but does not govern or define. And I personally feel the same should hold, of course, for individual CSOs even more, because our committee, as a platform of CSOs, gives already a balanced opinion between the various CSOs, which often differ in their opinion. So it is the very working of our committee here to come to agreement, partly also to come to compromises. So it's already a balanced view of the CSOs, whereas individual CSO not necessarily need a balanced view.
You misunderstand the aims of responsible innovation. It is not the perfect foreseeing of any possible outcome and a dictatorial societal approach to make sure that the ones are achieved that are desired, but rather I would see it as a way of accompanying different stakeholders, of making sure that researchers stay in contact, stay in communication with society, and that researchers realize that they have competence in some respects, but they don't have competence in every respect that's conceivable.
We do not have a methodological problem in engaging civil society in research at all. We should not begin to say that methods are the problem, because they're not. We can, if someone connects to Engage 2020 and says, I'm making this kind of research, I would like to engage civil society in my work, we can come up with ways to do that and they will work. That's a very important message to give now, because we're not in the beginning of methodological development here. We actually have the methods there. There have been work in this area for 30 years. The problem we're in is that it's not been mainstreamed yet. And that's what we're discussing about when we're discussing about responsible research and innovation, that is to begin to mainstream it.
CSOs were more inclined than project coordinators to expect a project to be aligned to social needs. Now, I think this is one of the fundamental issues between involving CSOs, because I'm a CSO as well and a non-scientist. Boom, no wonder I got invited. CSOs are all about alignment to social needs. That's what they exist for. One of the problems we're finding with research is that it's not aligned to social needs necessarily. It's aligned sometimes to academic career incentives, to focus on citations, to insular and slightly narrow goals. And this sometimes is very much at odds with the CSO's agenda. There's also issues of language. You know, there's no CSOs here today, but in terms of, I suppose I'm looking at NGOs. I apologise, as in pressure groups, more controversial type civil society organisations. But this lack of alignment, why should a CSO involve itself with your research when actually at the end of the day you're very focused on the citation in a journal they've never heard of?